Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the real Pretty Good Podcast 14. That is right. The Pretty Creepy Podcast is now its own show.
Yeah, but by popular demand, seemed like folks loved the Pretty Good or the Pretty Creepy, and we put the Pretty Good on hold, and our social media has been blowing up.
Yeah, I
day,
received so many messages about continuing this show. Anyways,
I got at least 3 of my close friends and my mom were like, "Where the fuck is the Pretty Good pod?"
We got death threats.
Yep.
We got bomb threats. It was crazy.
I got a message from the Try Guys. Anyways, I'm Lucas, your host, joined by my right here,
Craig Taylor
and Matt Davis.
And this is the Pretty Good Podcast. I had to think about which one we're on again.
Before we get into it, we have to give a shout out to our sponsor, Kit Kat. Have a Kit Kat.
Per our sponsor, we have to do some ASMR into the mic.
Yes.
Oh, you get some tingles from that. I probably sound disgusting.
No. Listen, there are guys, this is what they have. There's no Pornhub. It's Kit Kat, and those guys are me.
Yeah. So wait, you're the guys, and Lucas just tried that Kit Kat.
Yeah, fill me in on this, because I know the gist of it.
So number one source of the Try Guy drama, we have... for no Keemstar, no H3H3, all those fucking amateurs. This is where you get the real info, okay? So now what I heard was that one of the Try Guys, his name is Ned, cheated on his wife.
I guess he tried something he wasn't allowed.
Yeah. tried a few too much. So obviously when I said I knew everything about it, I was lying.
But
I don't even know who the Try Guys are.
Yeah. Well, aren't they the ones who do the Super Bowl halftime thing now? Or is that dude
perfect? I see how you can get them confused. It's similar energy. So here's my understanding of the situation. Is this dude, one of those Try Guys, you probably see him on Snapchat. Their whole shtick is we're gonna try a $1 steak, a $10 steak, and a $1,000 steak, and then they compare.
Oh, I've seen those videos before. Then
I've watched them too, and I didn't even know it. But
it's sort of gimmicky in the way that you can technically make try go into anything, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna try it. It doesn't just stop at we try snowboarding, we try skateboarding, we try this. It's we try to get kicked out of McDonald's,
It sounds like the evolution of just we can't make videos that say fail anymore, so it's we try.
Maybe, but apparently what I think a lot of people are latching onto this because the guy Ned, he was a big wife guy. He would obnoxiously talk about his wife, and there was apparently a video on their channel where it was how many times he referenced his wife. And apparently I saw also online that him and his wife had taught a seminar about the ethics of a healthy relationship or something.
Nice.
So
try everything.
It's just the irony of these people that are presenting this perfect life, dude's fucking around. So
this girl was engaged also, right? That's part of the lore.
I don't know.
The girl, yes. So the girl he had the affair with was engaged, yes.
And there was the rumor that he helped her pick out wedding dresses. Was that
was
your
on
wife
video?
said?
That was a video.
Yeah.
Because of course, they have so many hours of footage of them. Fans are curating through and looking for every little sign. But I thought this was interesting. So this guy, as far as I can tell, I was waiting for there to be more about this, because when it first hit the Twitter waves, I was like, all right, so this guy cheated on his wife. Now, I'm not saying cheating on your wife isn't a big deal, but I was wondering why people cared so much.
Right.
And I guess it was because he gets fired. The Try Guys fired him for it. And I was like, well, that's odd. So I was just waiting, to hear well, it was with like that Rooster Teeth guy who was cheating on his wife with a bunch of like underage.
Yeah, that was alleged because they were underage.
Allegedly. And so they fired him for that, and that makes sense. But with Ned, it's like, I guess the whole shtick is people are disappointed because we have really unhealthy parasocial relationships with our favorite content creators.
Well, what's weird
talking to you watching the camera right now. And so they built up an image of this guy as like, a great family man. And it's just tragic to see him fuck a younger girl.
Well, like the same people that like berate this guy too will also share a meme about their side chick on
yeah, sure.
I just sounded like a boomer saying that. That was the worst thing I've ever said.
These kids,
they're kids and they're side chicks.
Yeah, but I think people just love it because it's like,
it's juice.
Yeah.
I love when tea gets spilled and I get to learn about. I'll never forget. I was horribly bored at work, and I'm working on the computer, and I just got my phone there, and I see Tati calls out James Charles, and I'm like, I've heard of James Charles, I've never watched a video of his, but here I go. And my whole work day, that's what was filled with. That's what got me through the work day that day, was hearing Toddy complaining about James Charles, and then a million juicy response videos, and then James Charles posting his response video. And I'm like, never watched these people before, will never watch them again, but I am here for the tea. It is delicious. So
There was one day I had like the day off, and I just sat on my couch, didn't shower, and I just watched those like Sunny V2.
That was just a Tuesday.
I watched those Sunny V2, like the downfall of like insert YouTube channel. Felt like, it was a complete waste of a day, but I sat there all day and watching all those.
That channel is, I know exactly.
Because he like does the like breakdown where he like studies everything and he wraps it up in like a nice 15-minute package for you.
Yeah, that channel is
about
like
people I don't care about anyway.
Yeah. It's talk about a rabbit hole that you can fall down. Just that channel. It's not even a genre of video. It's just like just watching all of those things like right in a row.
So you guys were talking about the Simpsons versus South Park millennials.
Well, what brought that up? I think because we mentioned that Coolio died, because we were trying to think, well, what do we want to talk about on the podcast? And Craig, you made a pretty good comment about Coolio.
Although I think we're like a year too late for Coolio.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like we know who he is, but I don't think any of us have had a super strong relationship with him. I'm obviously sad that he died, but I just think we were just too late for Coolio.
Yeah, and I agreed with you, and I kind of said like, and I guess we can get into a bigger topic about generations, because I have something to say about it. And but I said that's kind of a hallmark of like, maybe that it's another hallmark of the older millennial versus the younger millennial. And the best comparison I ever heard about that, I forget where I heard it, but someone said that there are Simpson millennials and there are South Park millennials. And I thought that was a really good way to divide, like basically I feel like the millennials that were born in the 80s and then the ones that were born in the 90s.
Do you know what the millennial like age range is?
So
there's like everything I look up is like always different.
This is where I wanted to get into. What generation are we?
Millennial.
We're millennials?
According to everything I've ever searched, I've seen we're 95, and I've seen millennials end at 96 all the way up to 98 is like the comment. I've seen like one person say like, no, I ended in like 1990. But like for the most part, everything I can find is we're millennial.
But here's another question too: who the fuck is the authority on this stuff?
You're right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you talk about all these different generations. Oh, it ends here.
Because
I
I tell you what, in recent years, Gen Z has become the talk of the town. We're all worried about Gen Z now, and
they're out of letters. What are you gonna do after this?
I keep seeing 96
Generation
on a lot
Alpha
of
is the
stuff.
next one.
Another
I keep
alphabet.
seeing like 81 to 96 seems to be like the general consensus.
And here's the thing: it's like we just made the cutoff, because I've seen us get put into Gen Z sometimes, and quite frankly, there is some cultural stuff about Gen Z that does seem like us. But anytime I see that, I'm like, I've been asked that before by older people. What is your generation considered? And I'm like, well, we're millennials. And they're like, I don't know, are you like a little young to be a millennial? And I tell them, listen, motherfucker. Okay. I say, I'm mom. I'm like, listen, when we were growing up, the millennials were the talk of the town. We got all the shit for being entitled, whiny millennials. And so
Now they want to take it away from us.
now they want to take that away from us and say, no. You're now part of the Gen Z crowd that we want to hate on. And all I got to say is, what are we doing with our world? What are we doing to our children?
I'm a
killing
millennial.
our children.
I'm a millennial. I didn't help destroy the fabric softener industry by not being a millennial, okay?
Yeah, goddamn right. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm reading a book about like how boomers like ruined America. It's very cathartic. And yeah, it's check it out. But yeah, it's interesting that I feel like, I mean, I don't like, it's a big topic.
And listen,
I'm not equipped to deal with it, but
all of my friends, everybody I know out of all my friends, okay, here's the deal. They remember 9/11, including myself, just barely though. Like, not in an uncool way, but like in a, oh yeah, I was like a little kid. And
I remember getting pulled out of class.
Yeah, it interrupted SpongeBob that day. The second thing is, everybody I know has gone to college and has some kind of debt racked up, and that is like the official signifier. If there's like a house sigil of millennial, that's what it is like a student loan.
An empty wallet.
Yeah.
House Fannie Mae.
Yeah.
It's an empty wallet with like a bill on the other side.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So you know what the most millennial thing is that I'm like think of that I'm back into again right now?
Would it be the crispy wafers and milk chocolate in a Kit Kat bar? Go on to KitKat.com and enter code Zenu. And
there's no box to enter it in. You just hit the keys on your keyboard.
I'm trying to be serious, guys. I don't want to lose our sponsor here. And get 25% off your next Kit Kat. You get doubles if you just order one. Because the math works out.
I really like the parent company. Who's the parent company at Kit Kats?
That
That you know off the top of your head that you're always talking about.
Are we talking about? I don't have my computer with me.
Isn't it like Nestle
Oh, maybe.
or Mars or something?
Well, here, let me. Okay, I finally found the Hershey Company.
There you go.
Look at that.
I think that Mars don't they own like Hershey?
Shout out Pennsylvania. This was made in Hershey, PA, guys.
And want to go to Hershey Park?
I don't know.
W-
Hershey Trust Company owns Hershey. Who owns Mars? What's Mars? What am I thinking? That's a candy bar company, right?
Yes, yeah. www.askhershey.com.
Yeah, just Google Mars. You'll get really far.
I went there once. The planet.
The planet.
What candy is made? Oh, okay. They make Snickers and Twix. That's why they're like fresh in my head.
Good
but
stuff.
anyways,
Both
Yeah,
good.
imagine people that work there. Like, where you work? I work Mars. I work at Mars.
there was an old story. I don't know if I've told it in a long time,
I'm
but
gonna eat my cake.
there was back like 2013 era. There was that initial like, oh, humans are going to be doing their mission to Mars, and they had this website where like anyone could go on like this sponsored website, and it was kind of like a gimmick thing, I think, to get word out about this, and anyone could sign up, and there was a selection process where like, it was going to get narrowed down over a couple years, and these 4 people were going to go to Mars out of this pool of like 500 billion people that signed 500 billion out of like 500,000 people.
Maybe when we actually get to Mars, that'll be how many people are on the planet.
But I signed up for it like as a joke, and I went and told like Matt and our friend RJ and like Adam or something, or no, I told Adam and RJ, and then they told you that I was going to Mars, and that's like a county that's one over, and Matt's like, oh, you going to school in like Mars? And
Yeah,
they're like,
so-
no, stupid, the planet.
Yeah, what made it funny was this was seen like after senior year of high school,
Yeah.
and so we were all deciding what colleges we were going to, getting acceptance letters, and and Lucas hadn't decided where he was going yet, and so it was like a relevant topic, and I showed up at this party, and I got approached by RJ and Adam, and they're like, very over enthusiastically, we're like, dude, Lucas is going to Mars. Lucas is going to Mars. And I'm like, So I said, like,
You go through the possibilities. What is more likely?
that's what I did.
Candy company, dude.
It didn't even occur to me that you were going to the planet at all. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, did you? Because, there's a whole bunch of my friends that if they didn't go to school in Pittsburgh or out of state, a lot of times people would, there's all sorts of colleges scattered throughout central Pennsylvania. And so I just thought I was like, oh, is he going somewhere in Morris County? And they looked at me, they're like, no, you fucking idiot, the planet. And I was like, yeah, I'm the idiot. Like,
Yeah. And
you had a moment where, like, when we were golfing and you ran over my golf ball and I walked up, you ran it over in the golf cart. I drive my cart up, I get out and I go, hey guys, I hit my ball so hard it's embedded in the ground. Like it must have hit like a hole or something, or I hit it so hard. And I was like all excited holding it up. And then, you guys are just laughing at me. And I'm like, what? And you're like, I ran it over. I'm like, oh, well, fuck me for just having a good time then, right?
Fuck me then.
Joke's on me. Anyways, the millennial item that I've gotten back into, we were at, me and Katie were at Target the other day.
Well, I saw this on Snapchat. I know what you're going to bring up.
Because I went overboard with it immediately, as I always do. And we're looking at the board games, the adult stuff. We're always looking for like 2-player games we can play. And they had...
Ooh, adult stuff.
I know they had that section.
Yeah, it's new. But we were looking at the games and I saw one. I was like, oh, it's Pokemon Battle Academy. And we had like a $15 off coupon. And then I do... anyone out there who shops at Target, they price match. You can get them to price match anything. I swear. Try it. Like, they will price match any store, any Amazon thing. Like, I don't go to Target without price matching something. I'm that asshole.
Our co-sponsor for today's podcast, Target. When you go to the cashier, enter code Zenu into the keypad, and you will get a 25% price reduction guaranteed. Target paid big money to get a spot on our show, so
yeah, they gave us Kit Kat bars here.
Right.
So we end up like buying this thing for $1. We're like, okay, we'll treat this like a board game. It comes with 2 60 deck packs, so you could play each other, and it comes with a board. Well, yeah. And so we play like 2 games, and then immediately I'm on Amazon, like typing in like pre-made Pokemon card decks. I order those, they come in. We play like 2 more. I find out there's 2 versions of this Battle Academy. So I order the second version of this Battle Academy because I wanted the decks in that too. And then we went to like GameStop last night and I'm, harassing this GameStop employee, like asking him what the difference between all these battle packs is. And, he's destroying my brain with his like, there's an EX series, there's a GX series, there's the new V series that they're coming out. Now this, like you want this, there's foil cards, there's reverse holo cards, there's holo cards, there's this, and there's like rarities. My mind's exploding. So I just ended up buying like 10 packs and I got what I'm calling a devious pull out of one of them. I got a Giratina V-Star worth $20, that card.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my new hobby. So everyone can look forward to being annoyed by that.
I will say probably my biggest L in terms of just collecting and stuff. When I was younger, obviously I was into Pokemon. That is the type of millennial we were into Pokemon. And I still have my cards and stuff. But years after I kind of grew out of it, I was probably like 10 or 12. We were moving and my mom, I found this big pack of like Pokemon cards. There was a How to Play Pokemon VHS in it also. And I was like, Mom, what is this? And she's like, oh, it was supposed to be a gift. I didn't end up giving it to you. Well, no, it wasn't like that. I think she just forgot about it. But and I was like, oh, I'm gonna open it. I wasn't into Pokemon, but I just wanted to check it out. That is apparently one of the most expensive and rare Pokemon things ever.
New and sealed.
Yeah, and it was, and I just fucking opened it, not caring. Like a few years after, and I'm so mad. Like I'm gonna try to Google it, but if that's like sealed, it's so rare.
What I had that was like that when I was a kid, I like collected the cards, but I never learned how to actually play, which is I feel like what half the people did. And I had a card that I traded one of my friends, and they gave me an original Japanese holo Charizard. And I looked them up; they're worth like $800 now. I went over my parents' house the other day and I was in the attic for like 3 hours opening every bin, every bag in the attic, just looking because I know I have this card somewhere and it is killing me. I know I have this card and it's probably at the bottom of like a toy bin I used to have, and the card's going to be like mangled and destroyed and, you know, Kool-Aid spilled on it and stuff. But I had that card and it was $800. And I care now all of a sudden.
How did you guys ever try to play Pokemon back in the day, like the cards?
No, I literally just learned how to play like 3 days ago. Like I always had the cards and I like never knew how to like function with it.
I collected Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I didn't accidentally gave all mine away.
I still have all mine. So it probably bears going through it at some point, because it's not like I do anything with them. I'm just sitting on them, and I probably have some really good ones in there, but because I used to get like every freaking set that would come out. And, you know, I'd go to Toys R Us and I'd always be like, Mom, come on, give me the Kaiba pack, you know? And actually, ironically, I think Kaiba's pack was the only one I had never got. But anyways, I never collected Pokemon cards. And when they were cool when we were in elementary school, I had Pokemon on like Game Boy Advance.
Well,
so
yeah,
I just played it on there, you know.
Yeah, and that's how I've played.
I remember
every
hooking
iteration.
up with a friend, like using like the little LAN, you know, not LAN cable, but like the little cables where you could connect your devices and playing, and you could trade and battle, and it was like, this is wild. And I'll never forget eventually following it, like, so like I beat the game. Right now, I was a kid when I did this. I was probably like 11 or so.
Do you not play them anymore still?
No, I don't. I haven't played any of the new ones, but
I just pre-ordered Violet.
So
the other day.
I beat this one when I was like 11, and a whole world opened up to me, because I thought like, oh, I've got all of them. You know, I've got this Pokemon and that Pokemon, and I used to watch the show all the time, so I just figured a lot of the Pokemon just weren't in the game. Like, it just never occurred to me. And then when I got older, it's like how to get to Mewtwo and whatever version I had. I think I had the Fire Red.
Yeah,
it was red.
That was originally Pokemon Red, and they re-released it for the Advance, and it was called Fire Red and Leaf Green.
So that's what I had. I had Fire Red, and it was like how to get to Mewtwo, how to find all three of like the legendary birds or whatever the hell they're called, and
Moltres,
you know,
Jolteon.
and when you have all three, then you can get the fourth one to summon. And
Did you say Jolteon?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's
Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno.
Dude, my mind is mush today because I've got
my
no sleep.
money. Articuno.
Yeah.
Articuno, snapper on my fucking knee.
For me,
Shout out Donkey.
I had a unique Pokemon experience that I went to Catholic school. And for that, Pokemon, like, I guess my school wasn't like super strict, but they did buy into the demonic Pokemon thing. So Pokemon cards was like, although I think in public school too, they like weirdly didn't like it either. But Catholic school especially, we had to go into like this back corner of recess in front of like a statue of the Virgin Mary. And that was the Pokemon spot where we would like check out cards. And then I remember one kid, he asked me if I wanted him to beat my game. I let him. So Pokemon Gold, I don't know if I actually played it or not. I think somebody took it from me and then beat it for me. So I don't know if I have a Pokemon experience, but for me, like, we would play, and then whoever had the biggest number would win. That's how we would play the game. And I had a Dark Charizard. That was my crown jewel.
Oh yeah. And
he had an attack that was 50x, not plus, but x, so like times.
Yeah.
And like that's like the biggest number ever.
Yeah.
So like I beat everybody. And of course, could be like, no, you don't, because and I'm like, no.
You should see the new cards now. They're ridiculous. Like, some attacks do like, 400 damage per attack and stuff. And you could like, you start with like your basic thing. You play these like new V cards that are like, which I think is hilarious. They call them V cards.
Yeah, I believe I lost mine a long time ago.
They have like the old cards would have
could
like
say the same.
Yeah.
The old ones would have like 60 health and do like 30 damage. The new cards have like 220 health and do like, 180 damage. But then you could like upgrade them with the V-Star stuff now, and they'll like, 500 health, do like a 8 million damage per shot. And you're just like, how's this even fair?
Yeah.
To, like, play
and the
game.
cards are ugly too. Like a lot of the art will like.
I really like the new cards. I kind of like how they look.
Well, there's different styles, but I've seen some where like the art expands beyond like the borders of the card, and it's like in the text of the name, the card art's continuing. And it's some stuff's
not your
ugly.
cup of tea.
Yeah.
I will say, when you go buy those little booster packs, though, it is like the quickest like opioid rush when you open that pack, and then because there's like there's a set spot.
That's like part of it, man.
Yeah.
It's like part of it where you're opening it up and you want to see like which one you got. It's the same. It's that same what if feeling of like anything like that, where it's like a mystery pack and you're like, which one did I get? And you just want to. Some might say you want to catch them all, but you want to like get every card pack because you're like, what if I draw the card, the coolest card?
Yeah.
And it has this addictive quality that's so funny because, you know, a month later, that super rare card like is probably ends up at the bottom of a toy bin, right, or something.
Yeah. At least I'm playing with it this time. Like, we're building decks to play
I'm
with.
not criticizing you collecting. I have an unbuilt Lego ATTE out there that I got to work on. So I'm not criticizing you for getting Pokemon cards. I'm trying to relate. Like, I know how you feel. Like you get the mystery thing, and it's like, because in that moment, getting the special card is like the only important thing. It's like, my life is not valid, you know, unless I can get this particular card.
If it's like a Pokemon I like to, like, they can lure me in so quick. Like, because my favorite still from the original is just Charizard, and they could just pull me in by putting him on like the box art, or like guaranteeing you get it like him in the pack.
Was he always your starter?
Yes. Yeah, and like the original ones.
That's what I mean, because you can start with Charizard, Squirtle, Venusaur, right, or Pikachu.
Probably
The
think in
Pikachu
yellow.
you had to have yellow. Yeah.
Okay,
Or they
so
did
it's
him
just
again in
it
Let's
was
Go
those
Pikachu.
three. Yeah,
I wish you would play some of the new games. Have you played any of the new ones, Craig?
No, I can't remember. Probably Stadium's the last one.
All right. So I've played up to like the current
Is
generation.
Charizard always your go-to?
Yeah. Even in like every game, I'll find a way. Like, you know, I'm the first thing I'm like, is how do you get him in this game? But the new ones, I need to show you guys sometime, like the new Pokemon. You need to see how bad they're running out of ideas and how stupid the new Pokemon look. Like, some of them look so dumb.
Yeah, I think there are some, because that is a common, I think, criticism. People say new Pokemon suck, but I and there are some cool ones, but I do think like the well's got to be running dry pretty soon.
One of my favorite new ones that came out not too long ago, like a generation ago or whatever, it was Trubbish. It was a garbage bag. That's all it was. And then he became Garbodor, which was just a big smelly pile of garbage, but it was like sentient.
That's like a parody, like a South Park Pokemon.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where it was so stupid that I was like, I really like this one. It's so stupid.
I remember I always picked water types, and Gold, I had no idea how to play. Maybe I did actually beat it, because I remember leveling it up. I didn't understand capturing different Pokemon, so I would just use like the Crocodile, is that him? The water starter in the second generation. Well, whatever the water Pokemon was, I just used him, and that was it. He was my only Pokemon.
Your only guy.
Just the whole game.
So I guess it was harder for me than it was other people, because I didn't understand about like mixing different like, you know, types and stuff.
I think that's part of the charm of those games is, you know, when there's something about when you're younger and you don't fully understand a game, and like you still somehow manage to beat it. Like, you're just going through and you don't entirely know what's happening, and you're getting frustrated sometimes because, I don't know, it just doesn't happen that much anymore.
Yeah.
As an adult,
It's tough for games to surprise you.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard. It's a lot harder to feel that sense of like almost scared kind of adventure where it's like, I might not beat this.
Yeah.
I had that.
Now I only think that about a game if I know it's going to be like 80 hours. You know, like you need to dump a ton of time into beating this, you know, Elder Scrolls game or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be level with you. I'll probably not beat this game, but I can enjoy it for, you know, like a few sessions.
Yeah. Dude, like I specifically remember like parts in games that like in like my kid brain, I was like, this was the hardest part in the world. And I went back as an adult and I was like, this part's like, I remember it being really hard, and it just wasn't. I just couldn't figure it out when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about. Like it's interesting. I always talk about KOTOR 2 on here, and I remember first time playing KOTOR 2, I had Knights of the Old Republic to the lay person, and I had no idea like how the game worked or what Dungeons and Dragons was, and so shit just didn't make sense. And a lot of you guys, like, you tried playing it recently too, and you were getting frustrated with it because you didn't fully understand it, and I totally empathized with that because I'm like, the game doesn't tell you like. it tells you how to function your basic controls, but it doesn't tell you what anything means. Like, what does your strength stat mean? What is, the difference between, upping your wisdom, increasing your wisdom or increasing, whatever stats. And I go through that game now, and by the time I finish it, like, I get everything unlocked, and I'm basically, the best way I can describe is I'm like a demigod on the last level of the game. Like, no opponent can even like touch me or get a fucking thing of damage on me. And it's just hilarious because I remember when I first beat that game, the second to last boss is Darth Scion. And I could not beat Darth Scion to save my life. And so I did this strat where I would basically run and sort of glitch his line of sight so he would stop chasing me and he would like go idle. And then I would set a bunch of mines down on the ground. I would use up like every mine in my inventory. And then I would like come out from the pillar and he would start running at me. And then I would just get him to run through the mines. And I had to do that with all the bosses in the game because I was good enough that I could get there, but I didn't understand the game well enough that I could like beat him,
It's like when we tried to glitch General Ram on Insane in first Gears of War so we could beat him on the train.
Yeah.
Well,
Except we had to do that as full-blown adults.
Like, come on. The crow just got me. Okay, the crow just got me.
It was so funny. You and I were like, let's beat Gears on Insane, and we breezed through that first campaign. I don't think we probably died at least like one or two times, but I don't remember us ever getting frustrated. And I was like, you were like, I was looking up this Ram fight, man, and I think it's hard. Like, we might have to glitch it. And I was like, man, come on, this game, it hadn't been that tough. And 10 deaths later against Ram, and it's like, all right, how does fucking glitch work?
Well,
it's just pissing me off.
Donkey, speaking of Donkey, has a really interesting video essay on like video game difficulty. And one of the things he talks about is like when a game, you try to find that sweet spot of difficulty where it's still engaging. But whenever you kind of betray that and cross that line where it's no longer fun, then the player has to start pushing back, and that's when the game starts breaking. Mm-hmm, so you're no longer playing by the rules. You're like, okay, I'm gonna do some bullshit because this is just insane. And I think too, it's one thing that I'm trying to unlearn, especially with games like Elden Ring, which are very kind of free and like there's not a singular way to play it, is that I think a lot of people that play video games a lot, they are trained to, this is how you're supposed to play the game. Mm-hmm. And now that's kind of becoming less and less of a thing, but there's still like for those older games, like, okay, I'm not fucking dealing with this. This is so like unfair. I feel like this is not fun. I'm going to cheat the game because I feel like it's cheating me. So that's kind of something that happens a lot. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because, Lucas and I are pulling out all the stops, and it's like Insane was fun for us up to that point because it was difficult enough that here's us going through and beating the Gears campaign, and it's not boring, like you said, Craig. Like, it's engaging because of the difficulty. Like, Lucas and I have to try, and there's certain parts that are hard, and it's like, oh shit, we gotta like think about how to do this. And then Ram was just so like
broken,
so annoying. And about like the 20th time you die and respawn, you're like, all right, how the fuck can we just finish this? Like, we are this close to the end of the game.
It sucks when
I want to quit. Like, we have to beat this guy. Like,
what was really hard, another one that I remember, which brings me into something else I want to talk about real short. The Destroy All Humans 1 final boss is really hard when you face the majestic leader. And, spoilers for however old game. And Black Forest Games just released Destroy All Humans 2, the Reprobed. And so I wanted to talk about that. Isn't that good?
Yeah, that is
fun. I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about, I think on Zenu Games, we had one of our members, Loris, I think, reviewed the new Saints Row.
Yes.
You could check his review for whatever he gave it.
Yep.
But there's like the two levels of remakes with that, and like the Destroy All Humans Black Forest Games took like the exact game, and all they did was they put like the little warning in the beginning of it that this might not be like culturally appropriate now, but they just increased like the graphics, and they kept the gameplay and everything pretty much the same, which, you know, and then IGN gave it like a 6 out of 10, and then everyone was tearing them a new asshole in the comments saying this is what a remake should be instead of like a reimagining. But like, and then like the new Saints Row came out, and I didn't even play it, and like I heard it just got like trashed for just being
Loris's
garbage.
review was super in depth. I
Yeah.
would suggest anybody check that one out.
But I really like whenever they remake a game, especially something like Destroy All Humans. I'm like, that's a game series that could have been lost to the like annals of time pretty easily.
the anal.
Well,
Of
I
The anal
think
probe of time.
this is another donkey video topic, which is interesting. But I think from my perspective,
but for my money.
yeah, I think a remake, the biggest thing is, first off, you need to pick a game that needs to be remade. I think KOTOR is a good example because there's a lot of stuff that modern audiences may be turned off by and they won't get to experience the great story.
Yeah.
Another one that I think doesn't need a remake that I see a lot is I'm a giant Sly Cooper fan. And while I would love to play that game again and not stream it with stupid PlayStation Now, it's a game that holds up extremely well in modern consoles. So unless, well, they already did do an HD remake for PS3, so
Yeah.
they've already done that. So I mean, like, but people I think want like a total remake, and that the game holds up. So like, no, like re-release it maybe for $20. But
How do you feel about The Last of Us Part 1 being remade with
well, so that's kind of a can of worms because I think most of the hate are people that are just really pissed off about The Last of Us Part 2. It is probably a little overpriced, and I have obviously not played the game, so I can't give an opinion, but I did not feel a visceral reaction like a lot of people did, and I think it's just residual what's it called, MAGA people that are mad about what happened in
What I
Last of Us
think-
Part 2.
owning like the original Last of Us and the original HD remake? What I think would have been cool, like I didn't have any like, oh, how dare they like opinion to it. I was just kind of like, I'm not gonna buy it because I have the other HD remake already. But
And it
like
looks
I don't
great.
care. Yeah, like it looks really good. I wish I would buy it if they did something like you put your old disc in and you get like the upgrade for like, you know, a discount, like 40% off or something. Like
Yeah.
returning customer, you can upgrade yours to the new
There's
version.
no reward for having
No.
played the original. No.
Yeah, and it's just I'm not gonna call it cash grab because I didn't play it, but it's this feeling of like, okay, like I understand you put a little more work in compared to other games, but it's the same game. There's not any new content to my knowledge, and the original game looks great. So
I think there's actually technically less content because I don't think the online mode came back, which some
Right.
people were complaining about.
yeah, people, it seemed like a very tacked on mode, but a lot of people say they really liked it. But yeah, it's interesting. There's so many ways to do a remake, and that's something I don't think needed one. But
Yeah. I kind of just, in my opinion is just formed by the remakes that I've played. And I'll say, you know, I'm a huge fan of Halo 2. And I like the anniversary edition of Halo 2. I like that they didn't have to change much, but like they upgraded the graphics, and they did the same thing with Halo 1, and it looks considerably better than like,
especially when you can directly compare them with a push.
yes,
button,
because you
which is
can
cool.
you can hit the thing and go back into the old graphics.
Yeah, I did. That's in the Master Chief collection, right? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I actually tried that for the first time in my life, like once, and I saw that I kept hitting that button. And I was like, oh, that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
it's like switching between the old and the new graphics.
I
and-
have to show you cursed Halo still.
yeah, you do. And a bad remake. Well, of course, Halo MCC was a mess when it first came out, but that's just part of like the development process. One remake that I hate, kind of, is that fucking GTA San Andreas remake. Like,
I will
we
say-
shit on. So
They fixed it. I went and I
played it.
rebought it. They have fixed. I replayed 3 Vice City and San Andreas
But
like a month ago.
the
It is
graphics,
fixed.
the graphics like still look kind of fucking bad. Like they updated it a little
Yeah,
bit,
but it's playable now.
is it?
Yeah, I got it on sale for like $20.
So-
and I played them, and it like I had 0 issues.
Well, I'll tell you what irritates me. And why I stopped playing the game was I got to one of those. I've already talked about this on the Pretty Good, but it bears repeating. I was pissed off at like, you know, went to do one of the little RC car missions or whatever where you're flying the helicopter,
controls,
and the
still
controls
shit.
are still fucked up, and I'm like,
That's what
this
a
is-
remake should do.
I'm like, this is notorious for being bad. And so I understand leaving in some dated stuff as part of the charm because you want to maintain the integrity of the original game. But if something's universally known as like being terrible, like fix it, God damn it. Like they fixed the aiming. They fixed the aiming in the game.
And they gave it a weapon wheel too.
Because if you do the original, like, yeah, exactly. They fixed the aiming, they fixed the weapons, and I was like, this is promising. Like, I like this because you go back and try to replay the old San Andreas on a PS2, and the aiming is all fucked up. You have to like fire with O, I think is like the shoot button, and it's like, well, this is odd. Because a lot of PS2 games that was the shoot button. It's like I think the old Ratchet and Clanks, it's like and they changed it
to be strafe with the back button.
Yeah,
fire with O.
They changed it to be like aim with the L and shoot with the right trigger, and that's obviously an example of like fixing it and maybe modernizing it is a better term. Like this is what I'm more used to now as a gamer. So I'm glad they fixed it so I could go back and replay it. But fix the damn RC missions because I've heard they didn't fix it in like Vice City either. And I remember Vice City.
I did that on the first one. I did it first try. I think the controls are slightly better because like I
haven't played the Vice City. I'm just going off of like what I heard.
It's like as of a month ago I replayed them. Although I remember the soundtracks being bangers for those games, and they still are. But there's like way less songs than I remember.
Than you thought there were.
Like, you sit down for like a gaming session of a couple hours and you hear the same song like 7 times.
Yeah, I remember they have Motley Crue and Billie Jean, I think, in Vice City, don't they? Billie Jean.
Well, I always listen to V-Rock.
I'm sure like licensing stuff was like 10 times cheaper back when the game was made, because like this is a video game, who the fuck cares? But now video games are huge. But I mean, and the topic of remakes, like I think interesting philosophy, and this actually also might have been a Donkey quote, not to sprinkle too much Donkey on this pod, but I think he or somebody else said that the goal of a remake should be to make it how players think that they remember something.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and I really like that analogy.
Yeah,
like how you remember it in your head.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you might remember, oh, this mission sucked, but don't make it not suck. Mm-hmm. So, I think the other thing too that is coming up now, you know how you look at a house, like if a friend moves into a house, you can tell it's like a flip house. A lot of times there's like the same type of flooring and stuff. That's kind of happening with remakes, I've noticed, where like GTA remakes were really bad with this, and I think the Destroy All Humans as well, where it's like they turned up like the saturation or something. You know what I'm talking about? And I can't. Yeah. It just feels like not a lot of love was put in there, and it looks kind of like shit.
I will say Destroy All Humans 2 was really good. I really enjoyed playing that remake. And I think, hold on. Loris just sent me a message. He gave it a Zenu. He did buy the game and gave it a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Should play.
Yeah.
Thanks, Loris.
Loris, he actually has a restraining order from all of us, but he's
especially on me. We can't be in the same place at the same time.
Never seen together.
Right.
So, but he, he's all right. He provides us our review content. So.
Yeah. I want to bitch for a minute because I look tired today, right? I'm pretty exhausted. So about a month ago, and I seriously mean a month ago,
buckle in at home.
Water company, water, sewage, whoever they are. I live in a townhome. We have a parking lot outside.
What's your address?
So these people just showed up one day and started putting fences up, and I'm like, okay, that's
Jamal
weird.
Street.
Yeah, I live on Jamal Street in Pittsburgh. But they started putting fences up, and I'm like, okay, maybe they're like repaving or pavement or something like that. And I come home from work, and there's a giant hole in my parking lot. So I'm like, okay, guess I'm not parking there. So, and they had these like generators outside too, and I was like, awesome, glad. They keep these generators running 24/7, and I'm like, okay, this is only going to take like a little bit of time. Over the course of the month, they have just been digging up my entire parking lot. It smells like rotten sewage half the time in front of my place. But then they run these generators, I guess, that keep fumes inside down there while they're working on it. But these generators are about 3 feet from my window that I sleep at, and they run 24/7.
Well, your landlord told you about that in advance, didn't they?
No, not at all. I called them, and I was like, oh, what's going on with this? Like, do we have an estimate for how long this is going to take? And my landlord was like, Yeah, we didn't even know this was happening. Like they just came in. Yeah, he's like the whoever like they contracted to do it just came in and like slapped it down on his desk and just like, we're doing this. And it's been like a month.
That's
and
a really funny like shit rolling down the hill example where it's like, yo, dude, why didn't you let us know about this? Bro, they didn't let me know about it.
You should talk to the guy up there.
Yeah, right.
But I mean,
Exactly.
These guys, in their defense, are working really hard 3 days a week, to get this project done on time. Today, I think I drove by and they had a like 4-hour, 5-hour pizza party in my front yard, which they left the box. So they're really getting this project done quick, so we could all get back to our lives. There's big metal plates they put over the hole too, in case someone needs to like drive over it. And about, I guess, 6:30 is whenever they're allowed to start working in the morning. I guess that's the non-quiet hours anymore. They wake up every 6:30 morning, and they just take these 2 metal plates and just and like it's so loud you can feel it in your eardrums. So I have not been sleeping past like 6:30 every morning for the past like month.
Yeah.
So that's why,
I remember
I'm a little tired or irritable.
I remember hearing we were actually coming to record the Deadliest Warrior podcast. Ever heard of it? And you messaged chat and you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to come or not, guys, because you said, how did you put it? You were like,
I wanted to say that.
You were like,
so bad.
My parking lot is gone. And we were all like, oh, what the fuck he said. And then you sent a picture to us on Snapchat, and it, sure enough, your parking lot was completely dug up, like where your car would have been. There's a fence on like the end of like
almost to my front door
to get out, and I'm like, and there's like a bulldozer parked in front of your house, and I'm like, oh, he actually means that. Like,
you think by the time you move out, it'll be done? Legitimately?
I hope so. I mean, they can't do it past like winter. Right?
Careful.
Luckily, we have like the new house already, and we could just go sleep in it. We're just waiting for the lease to expire at this point. We don't move to the new house.
Setting yourself up for a funny smash cut of like, well, it can't possibly last until then.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, don't worry. That clip will get cut
cuts.
into pretty good podcast 19 when I'm still bitching about it.
5 months later, you're just listening to the generator outside.
How was your comedy show this past weekend?
Oh.
Because I didn't make it because I ran a second annual Tough Mudder and no one blacked out this year from getting lectured.
You said you had a good time with that, right?
Yeah, it was good. If anyone ever wants to try Tough Mudder, definitely train for it. 10 miles. They did 30 obstacles this year. We all ran it. We did this thing where like it was dudes being bros, and we all ran it shirtless this year. And it was nice and warm in the morning. And we're like, okay, this is a good idea. And so we get through, and there's a lot of like some of the obstacles are like American Ninja Warrior stuff, or crawling through mud pits under barbed wire type stuff, or you get real muddy. And towards the end, they had a bunch of stuff where like you had to climb up like a pipe and drop like 10 feet into a pool of water, or you had to run and grab this swing and swing over some water, and you probably fall in. Whatever, this like clouds just came out of nowhere, and it got ice cold outside right when we got to all the cold water obstacles, and I'm like waiting in line on my turn, and they have one called the Arctic Enema, and apparently I gotta see if they post it on the website, but apparently the like photographer for the event took a picture of me and our friend Steve holding hands going into the Arctic Enema shirtless.
Nice.
We're freezing cold, so yeah, it was a good time. You finish, you get a free beer when you finish. You can have a couple more if you want, if you're safe to drive.
I think we should do instead of us ever going to a con and getting a booth as a meet and greet, that should be our meet and greet.
The Tough Mudder.
You have to run the Tough Mudder with us.
The reward is to look at us, and then, like, we don't show up at the beginning. It's just like
we're just like, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Look at all these peasants running through mud just to see it.
I was thinking like going through with the people, Like,
oh no, we gotta look pristine. Imagine us, we're wearing like Pope hats and like a crown,
3-piece suit.
Some people, 10 miles all through mud and stuff. Some people showed up dressed like pirates and ran the whole thing. I was like, these guys are just showing up to like
that's
take
like your
some pictures
shtick.
or something. I was so impressed. They sang shanties like while they were running too. It was awesome. And they're, these were like $200 pirate outfits, and they just ruined them in all the mud. And I was so.
Because that's how much they cost.
Well,
That's what you're the pirate guy, so you would know. Like, those are $200 pirate.
But they
outfits.
ran the whole thing in
guy.
pirate costumes, and I was so inspired.
Yeah. We saw. We were all supposed to go, but we bought the tickets a few months ago and didn't realize that the Tough Mudder lined up on the day until it happened. But Craig and I still ended up going to see Stavros Halkias, however the hell you say his
Stavy.
Everybody just knows him as Stavy. So he fucking ruled. He was really, really funny. Which of course he was.
Yeah, we have I guess you would call it like a I feel like club might be a little generous, but like a comedy venue near us. And what's cool is I went to one other show there, and it's cool because you have like a host.
You saw Joey Diaz, didn't you?
I did. That was really fucking.
That was
funny.
where I saw Steve-O, was at the Improv.
Yeah, we were asking about that. Craig asked, "Isn't this where Lucas saw Steve-O?"
Yeah. But it was cool because you have like the first act, and then you have like the second act, and you have like the main event. So it's like a concert kind of, which is real cool. And it was Sahib Singh was opening for him, and I love his TikToks. He's like a huge TikTok guy, and
he was not on like the billing or anything. Like,
right.
I didn't know who was opening for him.
Like I went to pee while he was like coming on stage, and so while I was waiting for like the aisle to clear, I saw him. I was like, no way, this is fucking him. I dare say I think he might have even been funnier than Stav. Like because it was such a surprise. Obviously his set was shorter, but some highlights were that like Stav was obviously selling merch. And then he just had his Venmo there, and it was Stabby69 was his Venmo. And then I guess kind of like how restaurants, if they have like someone famous eat there, they have them sign a photo. They have that at the Improv. And I was walking by and I saw Stav sign his picture, and he wrote "Go Ravens" on his little thing. So, but
he was great. The opener was great. Stabby was really funny, and the crowd was. It was a good crowd. There was nobody that was like too drunk, but there was plenty of people when he'd call out into the audience, plenty of people who would banter with him. But there was nobody, that was like too drunk and like.
I don't think you can there because it's like $9 a beer at that place.
That is true. But you know what? The food was good. Craig and I got a couple beers. And
were you required to buy food? Is that what you told me?
2 items.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. I mean, you're there
2
for
beers.
You're there for like 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Oh, it could be food or beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
Food or drinks.
I think I was gonna say because they had that when I went to see Steve-O. They had that like 2. They just called it like 2 drink minimum, but you had to get like 2 things.
Yeah.
I thought they were making you guys get food.
Craig and I each got like I think 2 beers and an appetizer for like the show. So.
Dude, I'm still thinking about what did I get? It was
you got the mozzie sticks.
Oh yeah, they were so good.
Yeah,
I got the pretzel. The pretzel roll was really good. So.
But yeah, it was funny. I filmed his whole set, so I'm gonna upload it this weekend. But
our buddy Loris was there, and Loris,
Loris made it.
Loris filmed the whole thing.
Well, I couldn't have been there then because Loris was there.
The restraining order. So,
excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I want to see more comedians because at least in Pittsburgh, there's not a ton of like big name people that come around, especially in like a venue that small. But it's nice because it's nice and intimate.
Yeah.
That you could see somebody that isn't like super famous for like $20.
Although I saw, Rob Schneider is coming in November.
They've been advertising that for like a year there. I feel like,
of course, I'm just some people out there. There was a huge cry to bring back the Pretty Good Pod, and I know that there are many revolutionaries underground right now plotting and waiting for the day that we bring back the S-Files.
Oh,
dude, we were thinking like if we slipped him $100 bill, if he would shoot a intro for the S-Files.
Oh, definitely.
Like if Craig, fucking genius. It was like before we parted ways and went home. Like Craig goes, "What if we got him to record like, 'Hi, I'm Rob Schneider, and you're watching the S-Files.'"
Do you think how much do you think it would take? His cell phone in his pocket. Adam Sandler's number is on that phone. That's like the closest we would ever get to Adam Sandler's phone number. How much do you think we'd have to like? we can get you a sponsorship with Kit Kat.
Yeah. And Target.
With Mars. Dude, you can go to Mars, dude.
Imagine like being friends with Adam Sandler was the fucking meal ticket, baby. That like you have had it made forever. See, this is why we need to bring back the S-Files. And to those of you, to my soldiers out there waiting in the tunnels, underground, just living in squalor, waiting for the next
in
S-Files.
the tunnels underground in my parking lot that they have open.
Parking lot. Rest assured, we have talked many times about bringing the S-Files back.
I think we just got to figure out how.
Yeah, we want to make sure we do
ideas.
it in a correct format. What
we
ended
don't
up
want it
behind
to
the
be
scenes
a podcast like most of our
yeah, we don't want to just be doing this again on another show. We want to find a way to like appropriately make this show where it incorporates some of the movie and our like reactions to the movie.
I think my idea is pretty good. I don't want to say it. I think.
And then like we're gonna create a series
pitches.
where we just find things and we try them. It's gonna be the
We're guys who try. I think that brings us full circle, gentlemen, back to the try guys.
Well, I want to talk about some TV shows and one little nugget that I got to recommend people watch too. But did you hear about Little Demon? Anyone? Probably
no.
Not. It's a new show on Hulu where it's about like 14, 13-year-old girl, whatever it is, and she lives with her mom. And you know, this is like episode 1 stuff. You find out that she's like the daughter of Satan. Like her mom slept with Satan and they had the kids. So it's like her learning that she's
Little Nicky.
like the Antichrist pretty much.
Sounds like my mother-in-law.
Hey.
But there's like one season of the show right now and I watched it. And I think Dan Harmon, the guy from Rick and Morty, who got canceled that one time.
Yeah.
Helped create the show. And it stars Danny DeVito and Lucy DeVito. So it's very iconic voices. So if you're looking for something new to just try out, very TVMA though. There's some tits and there's some blood and killing. And
Tell me more.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
I'll add it to my watch list.
Yeah. And besides that, I've been catching up on Game of Thrones. So I can watch House of the Dragon. Never watched that. I found this little snippet the other day. And I will just say I found it through Moist Critical, through Penguin Zero. And do you know that like slapping championship shit where like two guys stand there and they like slap each other? There is apparently like a Mountain Monsters quality like show called Slap Slap Mountain, and it's this found footage of these rednecks who set up this ring down in like Alabama, and it's got like MXC vibes where they got this footage and they voice over and give the people like, you know, they like narrate it and they have this ring and it's like slap competitions where like people are knocking each other out, but they like, it's like full MXC where they like are making fun of it and you're like, these people aren't in on the joke, and it is like hilarious. You got to watch season 1 of Slap Mountain, and they just came out with like the first episode.
Where'd
of
you
Slap
find
Mountain
that on?
season 2?
What's that on?
Moist Critical had it. The Penguin
okay,
Zero.
right.
He did like a review thing.
How do you
on
watch it?
Yeah, that's what I
it's
mean,
on
streaming
if you just
service.
type in Slap Mountain on YouTube, you can at least find the first episode. I think there's like 8 or 9 episodes, and it's all like, you know, these like trailer park trash people. Like, so their nicknames are like the hardcore hillbilly takes on Red Solo Cup.
So you at home, once you've exhausted every single episode on this channel, then go check out
Slap Mountain. The intro is hilarious too. It's like, somewhere just over the next hill, there's a little place that's off the beaten path. And if you get invited to it, you better not turn it down, because you could bring your lawn chair and buckle up, because what you're about to see is some of the most redneck shit ever.
I do want to say, you're the second person I've heard say this. So I'm sure you already know, but House of the Dragon takes place like 300 years before the events of Game of Thrones. So, okay. Well,
I know it's technically a prequel.
And you and Katie had already watched most of it, so like you're just finishing it out, which I totally get. But I remember talking to our buddy Jordan, and he's like, I've seen the House of, he loves every HBO show, and we always talk about it, but he missed the boat on Game of Thrones, like. And by the time it was like by the time it was like season 7, he's like, it's just too many fucking episodes for me to catch up on. And I was like, I get it. And for House of the Dragon, he was like, what? They're like 4 episodes in, right? He's like, but I still need to watch Game of Thrones. And he was so fucking happy when I dropped it on him and said, it takes place like 200 years before Game of Thrones, dude. You don't need to know a thing like that happens in Game of Thrones to understand it. And he's like, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, so you tell me I only have 4 episodes to catch up on instead of what, like 74, you know, or however many.
My point with Game of Thrones, I missed sort of like, I watched the first season.
You loved the beginning, but you hated the end.
Yeah. Well, I watched the first season.
Time I heard that.
And then that was when I worked at that like gaming store temporarily that it was like super big. And so I like vicariously watched the show through everyone else telling me about the show. So
what happened?
And when we were watching it, Katie's just like, oh no, like there's tons of stuff you don't know. Like, let's watch it. I have proven my point that I knew 90% of the show before it happened, at least up to season 6. And I'd watched the final season when it originally came out because I watched it with her. So the only season I don't know what happens is season 6, and that's where I'm at. So it's like the first new content I get to take in from the show. But yeah, I mean, it's really good watching it, but it sucks that like people ruin things for you. And like, it would have been so much better if I didn't know all the crazy plot
I would
points.
say that is, you know, Game of Thrones just became particularly obnoxious. And I say this as a massive Song of Ice and Fire fan. And, you know, I loved the show when it was out, you know, except for the ending. And, the most original take on the internet.
The ending like ruined it.
Yeah.
I liked the ending.
I can't even watch it because of the ending.
Oh, I can't wait for a couple years from now when there are those videos. Just how there's like videos now. They're like, why you need to rethink the Phantom Menace, you know? And it's like,
why the ending's actually good.
yeah, why the ending of Game of Thrones is actually good. You know, it's just to like revive a dead meme, basically. But to get to my point, if I can remember what my point was, oh yeah. It just was particularly obnoxious because of how big the show was. And if you remember, I compared it a lot, your experience with Game of Thrones and not wanting to watch it, I compared it a lot to my experience with Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And how I was like, I'm not watching that fucking show. It's annoying. Everybody that watches it is annoying. And then as soon as I watched it, I was like, this show's really good.
Yeah.
And,
Sometimes you just have to bite it.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
And just
I think that's not a product necessarily of the shows. It's just a product of like when something becomes popular and it hits the mainstream culture and it blows up on social media.
and then it sleeps with someone other than their wife.
I mean,
Like what?
The Try Guys.
the Try Guy.
Yeah, I know. I have to think about
A
that.
second Try Guy has hit the World Trade Center. Sorry. That's a good meme I saw. Anyways. That's like a thing with the zeitgeist right now. Like if you miss an episode of a big running TV show, like it's just everywhere on fucking Twitter the next day. And Game of Thrones had that bad, especially since it's a show where
Major things happen.
it, you know, and it's almost like it embraced the meme in the later seasons where it's like we just want something shocking to happen at
There was the
end
big
every
meme of two, like, no, he can't die. Everybody liked him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's really bad with me in One Piece. One Piece chapters come out basically weekly, and fucking people you had no idea even read One Piece just retweet a spoiler before the official. Because I don't read. I'm not gonna get into the whole deal with scanlations, but people before the official release comes out, people will pirate it online and go on there. They're very easy to find, but I just wait for the official release, which comes out on Sundays usually, and people fucking retweet shit on Wednesday. I've had to unfollow people. I know, terrible, but I'm like, dude, I followed you for like people
Years.
people that I follow like for Disney shit are retweeting One Piece spoilers, and I'm like, all right, I can't like. There's no reason for you not to be able to wait. Like it's one thing to view it and even just like it, but you're retweeting it. Like fuck you.
Yeah.
So I don't even follow any One Piece socials because people can't even wait a goddamn week when I'm up to date.
Yeah.
So
I'm very inactive on social media anymore because I feel like it's ruined too many things for me. I don't use Twitter. I rarely use Instagram. Don't use Facebook anymore. I don't have a TikTok, and I kind of refuse. I'm like a boomer about TikTok. I'm like, those damn kids and their challenges.
the best shit is on TikTok.
Yeah.
It really is.
I can't.
I'll say this, like, I love YouTube because YouTube, like I said, lets me get through like work days basically because I can listen to stuff as I'm working. And there's just an endless stream of content. I don't even have to have a podcast in mind or anything. I could just fucking find something on there. Twitter. I want to quit Twitter, but I can't.
I have,
because
I've never gotten into
I
Twitter.
love it, and Twitter's the only social media I use, because I guess you can't really count YouTube.
Well, Twitter's the Wild West also.
Yeah, that's what's so great about Twitter. It's just
what Facebook used to be. Facebook used to be the Wild West, and it moved to Twitter at some point.
It's how you get your news, and how I get my news basically, and it's just so goddamn funny. There's just no one on Twitter gives a fuck, and so when bad stuff happens,
there's Queen dying,
yeah, right,
or the Try Guys.
The day the Queen died, it was just meme after meme after meme about the dead Queen, and then same thing with the Try Guys. I don't know who the Try Guys are, but I'm reading some really funny ass jokes about this poor guy. One of the funniest things I saw. So the Try Guys, all of the thumbnails for all their videos, they're doing the soy face, where it's how we parody it sometimes, and someone took a screenshot of one of those photos where it's one of the Try Guys, and he's going, and they were like, "Are you expecting me to care about someone who looks like this?" And then the follow-up tweet was, a lot of people in the comments telling me this isn't the guy. I don't care. Because I guess it wasn't Ned. It was some other guy. And I showed that meme to Alyssa, and I showed her part 1, and she's like, "That's not Ned, that's Keith." And I'm like, "Wait for part 2.
Yeah. And don't forget the absolute peak of Twitter, which will only be eclipsed by a future date. When Trump got COVID.
Right.
Yeah. Someone tells me there's another future historical event that will top that. But when Trump got COVID.
Dude, that was the best day to be on Twitter. The jokes were just, it doesn't stop, And the Queen was anytime, I'd say the ship being stuck in the Suez Canal.
That was right around the last
really
time I feel like I was active on social media.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I remember.
That was
your final straw.
That was a good Twitter moment, and I remember people saying that was the first major Twitter event post Trump, after he was out of office and got banned off Twitter, which Trump was the master poster. He basically controlled the Twitter discourse for 4 or 5 years straight, basically. And so
some dude tried to J-turn his vote in the Suez Canal, and no, I got no eggs.
Yeah, so when he got off, it was the number one Twitter poster is gone. And so here's what we're filling with it. It's
a power vacuum.
Suez Canal, and I feel like Elon Musk had it for a while, and right now it's all about, it was about the Queen, and right now it's all about the Try Guys, and how and
can you really live without that? You can't.
That's what I mean, is I definitely could, and I might actually be happier if I deleted it, but
yeah, that's my ideology.
It's so much fun though. I love checking it every day and just seeing the goofy ass
shit
people write.
Quit Twitter and go buy Pokemon cards instead. It's definitely a better crutch. All right, boys, we got a football game to catch.
Yeah, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, who's playing tonight? I did not even pay attention.
The Miami Dolphins at Cincinnati Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
Since some people will be watching, I think I've said it a couple of times this year already too. I cannot get into fantasy this year. I can't get into football or fantasy this year.
Is it because your team is underperforming?
I was gonna say
no. I mean, do you remember before the draft? I even told you I was thinking about not playing this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can't get into it this year.
You're in first place. And you don't care, or
yeah. Well, I
Right.
feel like that's partially why my team's doing so bad. It's because I'm just struggling to get into it this year.
I think the players know you're not motivated.
Yeah,
they can see it in your
they
eyes.
can see it in the head coach. The head coach is giving up.
I'll tell you what, it's not helping. Okay.
All right, guys. Well, all of you out there, remember, eat Kit Kat, shop at Target, code Zenu in the search bar.
Tell us what you want us to talk about. What do you want on the Pretty Creepy? What do you want on the S-Files? what do you want on the Deadliest Warrior, even though that's already scripted and we know exactly what's going to be on there.
you guys don't really going to say.
Can you guys record an episode on season 3, episode 1?
Rumor is we got some new equipment that may already be just sitting in a box and here. And
hey, unironically, I would like to give a shout out to Tyler, who is probably the biggest fan of this podcast and was very adamant about us recording an episode. So
Dedicated to him, I think.
this one is dedicated to Tyler.
Once I get the shirt situated, I have it where it's not the big block anymore. I have just the emblems are on the shirt. Like I got rid of the block. I figured out how to do that. I took my my lesson.
That was the prototype.
Yeah, I mean, those two first ones I ordered were prototypes.
Yeah,
we do need podcast T-shirts.
Yeah,
for the fandom.
Eventually, we'll get around to that. They're not going to be cheap because we're going to be paying out of pocket to get them made. So they're going to be like $30 each. But if you really want one that bad, we'll get you. We'll figure out a way down.
Most channels charge for like their T-shirts.
It's probably because they probably get them
$25.
Yeah, through one of those services, and
it's kind of a donation, but you get something in return.
Yeah, right. Yeah, hey.
Also, you could just donate us money if you want. Just send it to Jamal Street in Pittsburgh
at StaviBaby69 on Venmo. Okay. Guys, Lucas, you want to close us out here?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's good being back on. Pretty good podcast. The exact same set we use for everything, but that might be changing soon. Who knows? I don't know.
Don't hold your breath.
Keep us in your thoughts. We're getting close to 500 subscribers. I wanted to mention that. We're steadily growing. Now they're all going to unsubscribe since I said that.
No, I think the opposite. I think that it'll be a call to arms.
Yeah.
People will like it. So.
But thanks. We've been doing this for a year and a half now, something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we'll see you next time on Pretty Good Podcast 15.
Stay pretty good.
Wait, we weren't recording the whole time.
Oh, fuck.
I'm just kidding.
I know you are. I can see it.
Stay pretty good.
But I'm not kidding when I say I wasn't recording on the camera. I am.